What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. What I'm going to suggest today is not exactly something I developed consciously, so I don't necessarily have advice on how to go about getting there. But sometimes, all I can do is point to true north. And though I probably developed this in a way to compensate for something else, some insecurity or something I didn't get, I come here today and still suggest that this is a quality most of us want to develop. And I know this because I see the benevolent effect of it that it has on people in my life, people around you. And of course, if everyone developed and strengthened their own backbone, no one would need the firmness of yours to lean on. But until we get to the ideal state where everyone can be there, let's talk about how you can make sure that you stand tall and how your standing tall and taking a stance can also help those around you puff their chest out and stand tall as well. I'll try to tell you what I'm talking about by illustrating a scenario that has repeated many times in my life. A call or an email comes in, an ask is made, or a directive is sent out. Sometimes that's a guest coming over, an invitation to go somewhere, a commitment to be made, an appointment, standards that have been changed that need to be rolled out, structured, altered, new updates, changes in general. All of which means we have work to do. Prepare, travel, work, put in effort, show up, assess, communicate forward, adjust, roll out. And usually what happens is, if many people are involved, most people don't have the constitution within their personality to pose any resistance to what is being asked or the directive that they got. So when this call or email comes in and an action item is attached to it, most people get off the call and now incorporate this in their life as if it's something to do. And the unfortunate defect of my personality is that I find it hard to commit to something before I truly feel connected to it. And so even if it's something as simple as having to go somewhere I was invited, will be something I will easily say no to unless it's something I really want to do. But if a friend I haven't seen in a while comes from out of town, I will drive to the ends of the earth and inconvenience myself as much as I need to go see them. But I might say no to an inconvenience of going down the block if it's not something I'm connected to. Now, what I'm trying to express here is the ultimate result of this willingness I have to filter everything through a personal, maybe selfish lens. Usually people don't think enough of themselves, are willing to martyr themselves, or just don't have the skill to say no without triggering their people-pleasing tendencies and feeling like they're letting someone down. So usually what happens is I end up being the bad one. The one where all plans and actions that stem from the call or the email come to a halt to. They all stop with me, even if they themselves have gotten started and things in motion. If I'm also to be involved and it doesn't pass my filter, I say no, even if it affects everyone else. And that's not the punchline. The thing is what happens afterwards. Many times, immediately, or sometimes afterwards, someone else who was also involved will come to me and say, "Oh man, I'm glad I didn't want to really do it either." Or, "I wasn't really ready to take on that commitment right now." Or, "I didn't really believe in what they were asking us to do." And this happens more times than I can count. What I've realized is this. Everyone wants to say no or to pose some resistance. Everyone feels the pinch of inconvenience. Everyone technically has a selfish filter that they pass things through. But they're just willing to push past it, even half-heartedly, maybe even resentfully afterwards. All because they don't want to be the bad guy. And I guess that's why Scarface said, "You need people like me." So you can point your fingers and say, "That's the bad guy." And yet everyone roots for the bad guys. Because most of the time, they remind us of the suppressed animal in us. And what I'm saying is, when you integrate that animal, that monster in you, into the kind-hearted human being that you also are, then your agreements, your yeses are much more solid, but more so when you take a stance in either direction, yes or no, people around you stand firmer because they can trust your agreements and get behind you. They know if you say yes, you can be counted on. And if you say no, you might be speaking for a lot of the other people. I can't tell you how many times at companies I've worked at that I had to be the guy that had the difficult conversation with senior leadership. All of the team would express a discontentment, say something openly to each other, but sit quietly when it came time to speak up. And I guess they just had more to lose, so I can't blame them, or I'm just crazy enough to be willing to lose everything. But I've never been afraid of the life I get from what the truth gives me. Even in relationships, I'll say things that need to be said, even if they present an existential dilemma afterwards. Even as I say them, I can feel myself blowing up my entire life while I'm doing it. I watch myself and almost have miniature regret every second as my mouth is moving to the truth, because they are blowing up my life as I am saying them. But things need to be said, because what is a life that is held back by pretense? It's less adventurous, that's what it is. I don't want the illusion of harmony. I don't want a quietly eroding destructive peace. I'd rather set it ablaze. I don't like to play timid with the truth, no matter where the truth leads me. Tongue on a devil's pitchfork to see how disaster tasted. Now, I can't tell you this is holistically the best way to be. Sometimes I'm just struggle, no flow. But I can tell you that in a world where people are afraid to stand up for much, and I don't mean share something in support on your social media and consider yourself an activist. I mean in a world where people rarely put themselves in harm's way to stand for something, where they can be compromised, where they might lose something, where everyone else is so afraid to be disliked and criticized, and give all this consideration to haters, the fact they even think about haters, where everyone just wants to keep everything copacetic, not upset the apple cart, and keep everyone happy and please everyone because they so desperately have a deep-rooted insecurity and void for love. In this world, if you can develop a little bit of a thicker skin, if you are willing to bet on yourself and develop trust in your gut, if you are willing to be hated, if you're willing to go in a direction where most people are not, if you are willing to question what is being asked of you, usually it's just for a little bit that you are hated. Even if it's hated indefinitely, you will find still that so many people around you will benefit from your courage, your willingness to be where the buck stops, your acceptance of being the bad guy. Just know that silently, inside many people, is gratitude for the kid who raised his hand when they too had the same question. The kid who wasn't afraid to look stupid or to stumble over his words in front of everyone. The one who asked anyway. Inside all the bystanders, there's a sense of gratitude. And in some of them, invaluable lessons gotten that they wouldn't have if someone else with courage didn't ask. The taller you stand, the higher everyone else can go. And you'd be surprised how the firmness of your spine can support others. I love you, family. Stay true always. I see you on the next show.